Hey guys, it's your host Julian. This week I'm sitting down with color script designer on Across the SpiderVerse, Mr. Dave Bleich. In this episode we're going to deep dive into some of his favorite scenes, as well as the world building for Spider-Gwen. We chat about how the color palettes and designs was fleshed out, and we get really nerdy about animation. If you haven't yet, you should check us out on Patreon. We're offering 3 tiers with a lot of fun perks. Some of those perks included in the 3 tiers are a special shout out to all the patrons, question priority, early and ad-free access to the audio and video chats, voting on upcoming retrospectives, and so much more. Now, let's get to my chat with the great Dave Bleich. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to What's in My Head podcast. I'm your host Julian. Today I'm joined by Dave. Dave, welcome to the show, man.
What's up? How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on, and thank you for the great Kerry Yost. He set this one up. He said you should for sure check out Dave. And then a lot of it had to detail around your time on Spider-Man, latest Spider-Man movie, ladies and gentlemen. This movie broke my brain in the best possible way. I went in this not knowing, because most of the time it's very hard to capture lightning in a bottle once. You guys did it once, you caught it a second time, and you blew the jar apart with this movie. I was blown away by what you guys were able to accomplish.
So was I. I have to tell you that. Well, yeah, I mean, the first one was, again, it was so much fun to work on, and it blew out of the water. And then to come back and try to hit that second hurdle and try to make you have to hit that mark even better. You don't really think about, I guess I don't think about that. But when you're working with some incredible artists,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm one of many, and I do what I do, and then these other artists just make it even better, and they just keep plussing it until it's awesome. But it is a challenge. I think I don't really think about, we got to make this better than the second one. We're just trying. I'm just trying to how do I make it awesome, but really how do I try to get what the directors want and
Mm-hmm.
what the production designer, art director are looking for. They're looking for something that's fresh and something that's unconventional, something that's just something new, and have we seen it this way before? And it's hard. You really got to go do some soul searching at times. You do have moments where damn, am I not good at this anymore? I don't know if I can, and then you do some stuff and you work on it, and then you have another artist come in and they throw some stuff on there, and you're like, damn, crap, okay, I got to try something else because that person just threw it off the hook. I got to choose something else here. So that's what's amazing, I guess, for working on these films. I'm very fortunate, but I'm very fortunate to work with some incredible people, and I have for a very long time. But the Spider-Man films are, quite a gem, and I'm very lucky to work with some great people. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's wild is what is the term I'm trying to look for? That is an underestimated statement for this. Like I said, I'm blown away by this movie. I was going in there thinking that like most sequels, very rarely do you ever have a movie that the sequel is better or at least on par with the first one. First one that comes to mind is T2, right? That's generally the first one that everybody goes to is better than the first or on par. And then I go into this one, and from the
T2 meaning Terminator 2 or Trainspotting 2?
No, Terminator 2.
Because Trainspotting 2 sequel is pretty good. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
Oh, no, you're perfectly fine. You guys hooked me right off the bat. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, the color I'm using this time, because I always change the color up with whatever I always usually ask whoever the guest is, what's your favorite color, and that's what it goes on. But this one, the whole Gwen sequence, the Gwen World, I was hook, line, and sinker into it. Oh man, it's the color palette that you guys chose. I'm such a big fan of color. How does that color palette come about? Obviously, her color scheme on her. Go for it.
It comes about really from the original comics. With Jason Latour, just following that palette, following that world, and that made it. That set it all up. So it didn't everything's there. It's Gwens World, the pastel, the CMYK world. And that really was the essence of finding the right palette. And then to come in there and then now, okay, what's Gwen's emotion? It's like now we're just tweaking her palette and shifting it, coming up with theories, really just like, all right, well, she's acting this way, she's feeling this way. How do we keep her in her world? Because, you know, it's with SpiderVerse, it was like there's different worlds, and these different worlds had to have their own different, not just design and characters as well, but also their own palette and their own lighting structure. Some even had their own camera structure, camera design, you know, so compare it to like Nueva York or Lobotin. It's like, all right, they all had different palettes, but with Gwen's, it was sort of like the blueprint was there. Now it's like, how can we tweak this, or how can the assignment I'm given is like, how can I tweak it when she's in her apartment, or when she's walking home, or when she's in the Guggenheim fight, you know, or when she comes home, you know, after, I don't want to give away spoilers, but I'm sure people are going to see it by that time. But when she comes home after leaving her dad, and this is something that's you know, it's all broken down really from the script. There are some ideas, but it's a lot of conversation you're having with the production designer and the art director. I would work with Dean Gordon, the art director, and show him a lot of things. And then we would just kind of break it down and pitch that to the directors, you know. And I would also talk it through with Patrick O'Keefe, the production designer, and just like, all right, what do you think here? You know, we get feedback. All right, maybe that's too far, or they didn't see it that way, or the director didn't see it this way. But really, what it is a conversation. And my job is just, it's almost like I'm just kind of like getting it out there on the table, and like let everybody talk. And my main job is just to listen. I want to hear everybody's immediate feedback. I pride on that because I don't want to really have it given to me or translated through notes by someone else or to a third party. That's the moment where I'm like, okay, I get this, I can hear that. And the other thing is, Julian, when I initially start working, I really don't start painting right away. My process is that I look for a lot of images from my library that I create, and I create these mood boards. These mood boards can be very, they can be images of film, but they can be also very abstract to like fashion. They could be architecture. They could be a bowl of fruit. But really, and then I just kind of mix the palettes around and I try to find something. But really, what it is, I mean, these things don't get shown to anybody because nobody will understand them. But there's a palette there that I think that supports what's happening at that sequence. And then from there, it gets translated onto a storyboard, or maybe there was some sequence art or some kind of art that was done. Maybe we can kind of apply it to that and tweak it. Or like I would, like, what do you think of this? And then maybe Patrick would do something and then like, all right, I tweaked it this way. And that's really, it's back and forth. And I want that and I encourage that because it's just like, it needs to be a collaborative thing. I need to hear how they're feeling about it because the audience is going to look at it and you know how they're going to react to like yourself when you reacted to these moments, especially when Gwen's walking down the street, or you know even the opening sequence with all the drumming, you know, her talking. It's like we had to start out in a place, and then it got more chaotic, even more chaotic because emotionally she was like getting more chaotic. So the artwork was getting more abstract. You know, I was using images, you know, like from Schlesinger old animation, like early 50s experimental animation, you know, and then I would just kind of get a little more rock and roll with it, and I just try to push it all these different directions. So palette-wise, we stay in that world. But, you know, when I go back and I look at it, I map it all out with these boards. And then even prior to that, I should back up. You know, prior to that, what I'm doing is that I'm actually reading a script and I'm charting it along the way. Charting it meaning I'm charting it with how I react. Like, do I feel like emotionally? Is it chaotic? Is it going to be more contrasty? Do I think it's a good time to be warmer, or is it a good time to be cooler, more saturated? You know, darker or brighter? And it's just very ambiguous. It's an immediate reaction from the script. And sometimes I get so inspired, it made me think of like from a shot from a film, and I'll just write that down on the script for myself. Like it'll make me think of something like a Roger Deakins or Chris Nolan film or Wes Anderson, you know, whatever comes into my head. It could be something from Serpico, you know, I don't know. And then I'll have that, and then I'll start applying and I'll start building these images and these boards. and then we have a conversation about that, and then that's part of the process. I don't know if everybody does that. This is just my process. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it works for me, and I think it works with the directors and the artists and the art directors and everybody I work with on the team. I think they understand that. I think you can't just like go dive into storyboards or images and just start painting. Some people can. I think you need to really start to assess and start thinking emotionally. What are you trying to say with the palette? What kind of balance are you going to have? And you can, I'm one who believes that you can tell a story with any color. You see those things online where people are like, blue is for this, and red means that, and green means that. Okay, fine. If you want to believe that, I don't. I think you can tell any story, any emotional beat with any color in the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So it requires a collaborative effort of just how you're going to light it, how you're going to stage it. Is the character going to be dark over light? Is the character going to be lit sideways? Then the colors can come in, how you want to represent that. You can theory craft it as much as you want, but you really got to always stick to the basic of what are you trying to say. And I think as we talk more, it's like a lot of things I was trained in, even with school and my professors, it was just always finding a point of view. What is your point of view? What are you really trying to say here? And that's kind of like some of my basis of things that I do.
Now, because you said you would go to the art direction, the production designer, and then you would sit down with the directors and kind of feel like, what are you looking for, and then you try to put your flavor, your spin, your stank on it. You're trying to influence with your style, right? I know when we talked before we hit record, you said you like chaotic in a sense, and that's what this entire first sequence is with Gwen. I mean, everything from start to finish in her world is chaotic as shit, and it makes sense now because you telling me that. But when you're sitting down and you're talking with all of these people that work on this movie that are giving you input, how hard is that to take what they're saying, but it still comes from Dave in a sense? Like, you're still getting to put you in there, even though you're trying to take what they want as well.
Well, it's a two-part thing. Yes, I do. I kind of do thrive on how I work. I work sometimes on the chaos, and I say the chaos meaning I'm confident enough to let something. I'm not holding something too close to me. I'm not
being precious.
Meaning, yes, thank you. So when I say chaos, I'm willing to just say, you know what, I'm going to try this and go for it, and I may not be able to get that other thing back. But it's me feeling like, you know what, this is unresolved. It's something that just hasn't spoken yet. And so, and then it's very nonlinear. And I say nonlinear. I don't work like this. I jump around. It's sort of just like, oh, I got to do this. I got to move over here, because I think you just get very stale. I like to break things out into just like an animation, like keyframe sequences, and then in between. And sometimes I'll work on 3 or 4 of them at once. I'll just jump on one of the sequence with Gwen here, and I might be working on something with Miles and Miles's World or New Living. It's just something like, I don't want to get too tunnel vision when I'm working. So hence the cast. I think I do thrive on that. I do really enjoy it, because I think if I overthink it, it gets stale. And the other thing I have, and I don't know many artists have, but for me, it's like, once that idea gets out and it's out there and we like it, and I haven't touched it in weeks, sometimes I don't know if I can get back to that. It could take a while. It's sort of like you just kind of get into that little zone place, and you're just like, oh, cool. And then, somebody will come up to you and be like, hey, can you create this? But like how you did that? I'm like, I don't know how I can get back there just yet. So it's really hard. But I'm happy that they enjoyed it. The other answer to your question is I can throw stuff up there, stuff that I really like. I'll pitch. When I'm doing a presentation, I'm not picking colors because for the sake of them being cool. When I present something, this is something I tell a lot of students is when you're presenting your work, explain what you're doing, what your choices are. I made this room red because of this particular thing, or emotionally I felt it was supporting the story. Don't say I made it red because it looked cool. They don't want to hear that. I mean, there's a lot of colors that make things cool. It's like, so if you start explaining yourself, and don't be defensive, but if you defend your work and you explain your choices, 90% of the time it will work. It's,
Mhm.
sometimes it won't. It
Yeah.
happens because the director or somebody might have, the production designer, art director might have like a theory they want to go this route with it. Fine. But I gave them what I thought, and it's really like, okay, we love this. Can we just tweak this little part? Have we tried to hue shift it? What do you think about here? And I'll say, well, I'm saving this particular color for this world, or this particular color, say blue represents Miles.
Mhm.
I want to make sure how blue stands in this particular world. You can theory again. It's like, are we going to desaturate the blue when he's losing? Are we going to inverse the blue when he's in a different space? Like, and that's the same thing with Gwen. Like, we start turning her world around, especially when she returns home. Um, after like she's lost her friend, she's lost her job, she's gonna come back and face her dad. Like, her world is down and out. And my theory for that was she shows that her whole world is inverted.
Mhm.
There's black in the sky. There's not that white graphic. There's not a lot of gradients. The colors are all off. She doesn't even bond with her dad color wise. So there's those kinds of things that I do, and then I push it out there. And again, with color scripting, I had to explain it once for a project that was on for a musician, and it was, he does a lot of music, and one of the things was like, I had to. He asked me what is a color script, and I
Mhm.
actually, the spur of the moment, I was just like, well, the best way I can explain it is like, there's a musical score for a film. Well, a color script is a visual score for a film. It's not the local color like you see, like with bricks and red and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is creating an emotional palette that follows the story. And color scripts are not final sequence illustrations. They're just to be very gestural, very quick. You're just trying to get an idea of proportion and balance of color and how it flows and how it supports. So, sometimes you put the work up there, and it's like, I've seen color scripts of some people online, and it's like, they look like sequence illustrations. And I'm like, you don't need to do that. It's just, they're beautiful, but you're spending too much time on that part. I think you just want to be able to recognize it and then hand it off and flush the idea out. It's sort of like a sketch. And I love doing them. It's something it's one of the jobs I love, is just creating palettes and creating colors for worlds, and tell stories like that. Been doing it for a long time, and I just, one of the things I just love doing. When you get the script, you start
Yeah.
breaking it down. It's the best part.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and you'd mentioned a specific scene when you were breaking down, color choices for the color scripts.
Hmm.
There's a scene in here that we talked briefly about before we hit record, and I actually talked about this with Carrie as well because I had texted him like, dude, this is how your name came up. I was like, dude, I just went and seen Spider-Man, and he was like,
Carrie.
what'd you think? And I was like, my mind, I don't have the words to articulate what I just saw. I was like, I just watched this movie 15 minutes ago. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to feel. I was amazed. I was like, but amazing doesn't feel like it's a strong enough word. I was just there's so many
Yeah,
times where you hear throughout cinema history, like when The Exorcist was playing back in the theaters back in the day, people were falling out, people were passing away. Like I think a lady died, maybe, so you hear those type of stories. And I'm watching this movie, and I don't the only thing that I could really describe, it was a fucking masterpiece. Like I'm looking at this and I'm like,
it's
this
very kind.
well, it's the honest truth. I'm looking at it and it's just like I
Thank
don't
you.
like.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very rarely does my big dumb ass like speechless. I love to talk, obviously, but I see something on the screen, and then whenever we go see a movie, my wife asks me like, "How was it? What'd you think?" And I try to tell her, I was like, "It's good." Uh, I can't, like I said, I just couldn't think of anything else. I was like, it might be the greatest movie of the year. It might have been the greatest movie of the last decade. I was like, I don't, and the first thing I would always follow that up with is like, I don't envy or I'm not jealous of anybody that works on a movie because they have got the hardest job in the world, and that's to make this landing, that superhero landing, stick and it look fucking amazing. It's going to be difficult. What you guys have to do for three, I'm I'm not a praying guy. I'll say a prayer for you. I'll find somebody that says a prayer for you. You guys have your work cut out for you because this one was a phenomenal movie, man.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it's good.
I
Work
can
cut
feel
out
the
for 'em.
chaos.
I don't. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I know nothing about it right now.
Yeah,
For three, and I'll be happy for them to have me back. Which would be great. I love working. I love working with Patrick and Dean,
mhm.
Justin, the director. I'd love all those guys are great, and if they can bring me back, that I never assume anything. It's
Yeah,
me. I'm always just trying to make sure that I give everybody what they want, and but as friends, I mean, I enjoy working on films. I've worked with
mhm.
Justin Thompson for Music since Cloudy One, and Phil Lord and
Another
Chris
great
Miller.
movie.
Those guys have been, yeah, and those guys have been, I've been fortunate enough to be in the little their movie family for years,
Mhm.
and I love working with all of them. They're just they're so energetic. They're just so passionate about it, and they bring the best out of me. And I'm just happy I can contribute to those guys. I mean, they're just fantastic, and they make me laugh. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, great! I know this is going to be a fun ride. I know